I wanted to create the Winterstoked line to pay tribute to Dimitrije Milovich. Grassroots has always been about looking back to the past and embracing our roots. We're all products of our environment, and we're all inspired in some way by those who came before us. Dimitrije Milovich was a visionary. Certainly not the first person to stand up on a board and slide down a snowy hill, but he was the man who really followed a dream to create something that would allow him to surf snow and really ride mountains in a surf-like style. And I don't feel like Dimitrije ever got the respect and honor he deserved as the true father of modern snowboarding. My first experience with one of Dimitrije's boards was back in the late 90s when my friend Brandon brought up an 85 Winterstoked Roundtail Plus to our early season zone. We'd tried so many different snowboards and cut up snowboards to try to make them work without bindings, and this Winterstoked Roundtail worked so much better than any of those boards. My experience that day is what really got the gears turning in my head and really encouraged me on that journey to eventually create binding-free surfboards for the snow. I had no idea the history of Winterstoked when I first stepped on that Roundtail Plus, or even in the first 3 to 4 years that I was building Powsurfers. Years down the line when I finally did learn the history, my feelings on that day began to make total sense. So many people have been touched and inspired by Dimitrije's creation, and I'm just another guy on a long list that will continue to grow as long as snowboarding exists. This line of boards is obviously designed to resemble those early Winterstoked roundtails and swallowtails of the late 70s and early 80s. But the profiles, lengths, widths, and base contours are much different, making them more ideal to be ridden completely binding free. With these limited edition boards, I'm able to give a nod and a high five to the people who inspired me, and these creations can go on to inspire future generations of powsurfers to come. My hope has always been that my powsurfers will touch people in a way that reminds them of their youth and the stoke they had back then when they were first learning to snowboard or skateboard or surf.
That feels good.
I think that the feelings that you get from powder surfing are those exact feelings. For me, it was a total rebirth. I got to learn how to ride mountains in a whole new way by removing the bindings and riding these special boards. I got to learn to turn again. I got to learn to float on snow again. I got to learn to catch air. I felt that this Winterstoked project would certainly have that effect on the older generation, and for the younger generation, perhaps it will inspire them to look to their past so that they can better understand their future.
Alta was the first mountain I rode. Snowboard hadn't opened yet. Early one morning I went to see Chick Morton to ask him if I could use my primitive board at Alta. He looked at me, looked at his head of ski patrol, who had a quite bemused look on his face, and Chick said, "Have you got some way to stop that thing from flying down the mountain when you fall?" I showed him my thin shoelace runway strap that I tied to my ankle, and he said, "Okay, use that and you can ride that thing here." I asked around this, so nobody knows that, but Alta's the first snowboarding place. I asked around and I took Sunnyside up to Sugarloaf, and I walked off the top of Sugarloaf, and the lift attendant came out and talked to me, and he pointed uphill and he said, "You should go up there. It's just open. There's a foot of new snow." And so I climbed up there, first time I'd ever been on a mountain, and I got first tracks on Devil's Castle. And I rode a little ways and fell, and rode and fell, and rode and fell, and I was in heaven.